piano, esteemed guests, fellow Toastmasters, welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of this great day, sharing it with us here, Area 20, as we now celebrate, really, because it's really celebration with Toastmasters, our International Speech and Table Topics Contest. This is a contest that we're having to choose winners to represent us in the district's competition in May, being held in Tortola, as mentioned by our Toastmaster of the evening. Before we begin with today's proceedings, however, I have a few house rules. I've seen a few flashes already at me, and I'd like to say there will be absolutely no photographs during the speeches. Absolutely no photographs, because the flashes could serve as a distraction to our speakers. So absolutely no photographs. All cell phones, I just heard something go off a while ago, all cell phones are to be turned off or in the silent mode. No cell phones are allowed to go off during the speeches. No one can enter or leave the room during the speeches, because this as well is a distraction to our speakers. There will be a 1-minute silence between each speech where the judges will be able to tally their scores. So we need absolute silence during that period, as well as absolute silence during our speeches. I don't want to bore you any further, so the contest will now begin. Our first speaker, Miss Glenda Matthews. Glenda Matthews, enough, no more. Enough, no more, Glenda Matthews.
I gasped with shock and surprise as a glass of water was flung in my face. A hard slap to my face. Tears stung my eyes. My legs were kicked from under me, and I fell to the floor. Madam Contest Chair, what followed was to become a routine for the next 15 years of my life, and I accepted it. I accepted it because throughout my entire childhood, I saw my mother beaten by my father. I knew that my grandmother was beaten by my grandfather. And I knew that my aunt was beaten so badly by her husband that she lost her right eye. So when, on my wedding night, Hugh started his abuse, I figured, my turn. But I was disappointed. Disappointed because when I met Hugh, I cried many times as I related the abuse of my mother. And with hugs and kisses, he swore he'd never raise a finger against me, his African queen. That's what he called me, his queen. So that night, when he hit me, I was disappointed. I remember my father, after beating my mother, would say, "It is your fault, you got me angry." So I went to Hugh, and I told him I was sorry I had made him angry. He said he was angry because I smiled at the minister, and he felt disrespected at his own wedding. I told him I would never smile at any man but him because I loved only him. Ow! A slap to my face, a blow to my mouth. Hugh said he had been using his towel for 3 days and that he needed a clean towel every other day. I told him I was sorry that I was such a bad wife and promised it would never happen again because I loved only him and wanted to please him. The next day, Hugh slammed my head against the wall. His tea was too cold. A blow to my tummy, I doubled over in pain. Not enough salt in his food. Every day, it was something. And I accepted it. And I would apologize and tell Hugh Forgive me. I will try to be better because I loved only him. In the 15 years, I had 2 broken arms, 6 fractured ribs, 4 broken fingers, a broken jaw, a fractured skull, bruises about my body, and 0 self-esteem. And that was my life until I became pregnant. At 8 months, Hugh kicked me to the ground and stamped me. I had returned home late from a doctor's appointment and his dinner was not ready. I went into labor and Rhea was born. She was beautiful. She was mine. She held my finger, my beautiful daughter. 3 days after we got out of the hospital, Hugh threw me up against the wall. I had not ironed his shirt. As he came in to continue his assault, I swung my right arm and it caught him above his left eye. I was scared and shaking, but I saw fear and surprise registered in his eyes. I swung my arm again and again, then my left arm, then both arms were swinging, and then my legs wanted some action, so I began kicking and kicking and kicking, and he fell to the ground, and I got on top of him, and I started pounding and pounding and pounding. Then I heard a voice screaming, "Enough! No more, enough!" Then I realized it was my voice. Hugh was curled in a fetal position, his hands protecting his face. Panted, exhausted, and with a sense of liberation, I stood over him. I looked at him, and with a renewed strength and confidence, I said, "I love my daughter, and I love me." What are you a victim of? What do you need to be liberated from? I was a victim of domestic violence, but Rhea became the foundation where I gained the strength and the courage to liberate myself. After years of abuse, I was very withdrawn and insecure. A co-worker invited me to church, and church was like a Rhea. There, I found peace and the strength to forgive you. That co-worker also invited me to Toastmasters. Toastmasters was like a Rhea. There, I found my voice and the courage and the confidence to talk and express myself. Today, I'm a competent communicator. I did it. I liberated myself, and you can too. Search your life for a Rhea. It might be yourself, a co-worker, a family, a friend, a group, an organization, whatever it is, search for it. Hold on to it. Draw strength and courage from it. Liberate yourself and say, "Enough! I love me." Madam Contest-Glenda.